You feel, however, that we're making progress in this country and worldwide?
No. I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. If you pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that the blow made. They won't even admit the knife is there.
My family moved from St. Louis to Atlanta during the 1980s. And I mean, if you think I'm lying, just take a look at my dad right here. I mean, this is the most St. Louis I've seen in my entire life. Like, him and Cedric the Entertainer are the two St. Louis final bosses you gotta beat before you go to a Cardinals game. Anyways, like I was saying, they decided to settle down in Stone Mountain after spending the summer in an apartment because my grandparents moved down here right when the Atlanta child murders were taking place. Now, I know you might be asking, think piece. Why did your grandparents decide to move down to Atlanta right when the Atlanta child murders were taking place? And honestly, I don't know. I have no clue, but I do know that my grandparents are, I don't give a fuck, warriors, and they are extremely resilient people. And this resilience can be seen when they actually settled down in Stone Mountain, because if you don't know, that's where the largest Confederate memorial in the world is at. It's where the KKK, yes, that KKK, rebirthed themselves. And fun fact, that carving was finished in 1973. So if any white folks tell you that this monument to slave owners is part of their heritage, even though it was made a whole century and 8 years after the Civil War ended, then they're just straight up lying to you. Because back in their day, Stone Mountain used to be a majority white area. Then white flight happened, and Stone Mountain has become a majority black area ever since then. And in the context of my family, when I talk about back then, I'm talking about the 1980s to the early 2000s here, right? Because my family saw the Klan walk in the streets of Stone Mountain, hoods and all. I mean, my grandpa saw children as young as 10 and 11 years old with Klan hoods on as he was driving to work sometimes. Like, I have some family members who went to high schools where they will be sitting in class with sons and daughters of Klan members. So it's why I'm so surprised whenever I hear people say,
we're not a racist country, Brian. We've never been a racist country.
Like, for me, it's so weird, because that carving quite literally radicalized me. I mean, I had to learn about who those men on that mountain were and who those men on that carving were at 4 or 5 years old, right? But apparently, if Connor from Texas learns that racism is bad, then someone from Moms for Liberty is gonna have an aneurysm. Like, how the fuck that work? And growing up in this area has given me the best lens on what it really means to be black in America. Because when I was growing up, my grandparents told me to watch out for the police who aren't really police. That's why they don't like me driving out at night. And they actually still tell me that to this day. You feel me? Like, my dad, uncle, and auntie, they were repeatedly told to stay away from Forsyth County. For good reason, mind you. Like, every black person I talk to in this area has a fucked up story about how they face mistreatment at a DeKalb hospital, right? And it's like, even with all this progress that supposedly happened in America, that carving in Stone Mountain and all this shit I talked about has stood as the biggest fuck you to us. All throughout my childhood, always in the background. I could even see it peek out when I got off the bus and saw it in front of the high school I went to. And yet, some people would act like what that carving represents isn't real. That it represents a lost cause. That the laser light shows that Stone Mountain did for them every single year, where they would depict them riding off into the sunset like heroic cowboys, was preserving their heritage. And that you are an anti-white book burner of history if you point this out and say, maybe we shouldn't be celebrating and idolizing slave-owning white supremacist losers. And then of course they follow it up with,
well, the U.S. Is not a racist country.
Okay, so how does this happen and why does it happen? Why is this ever-present gaslighting used as a tool for white supremacy? Matter of fact, what even is the relationship between white supremacy and gaslighting? How does it function? What lessons can we learn from this? And how do we fix this issue? Well, this video plans to answer these questions, educate some folks along the way, and then maybe, just maybe, I can get some people to stop saying nonsense like,
America is not a racist country.
Part 1. There is no knife. I mean, like, what are you talking about? Jim Crow, Jane Crow, 400 years of slavery, the prison industrial complex. Oh, okay, I see what's happening here. You learned these words from that blue-haired liberal teacher in your CRT class who got hired through that DEI program. Okay, I see what's happening here. Alright, I'll make sure to ban these anti-white words at our local school board meeting tomorrow. If he wanted to, he would, is a statement said by a woman when their man doesn't try his best in their relationship. Like, if he wanted to, he would create a time travel machine and take me to see Cleopatra instead of just taking me to the Cheesecake Factory for our date. Now, people clown them for saying this, but I think they're onto something, because this statement could easily become a universal dialectical materialist stance on society that can be applied to multiple different things instead of only being used when their man takes them to a dinner date at Applebee's. For example, in early March of this year, 81% of the House of Representatives from both sides of the national stage political spectrum came together within 8 days to put a TikTok restriction ban bill into law. And it's funny how they can't do this with literally anything else that actually helps us citizens. Because there's a myriad of other issues to focus on, like the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, the George Floyd Justice Act, free healthcare, the federal minimum wage that hasn't increased since 2009, our tax dollars being used to fund cop cities not only in Atlanta but across America, our tax dollars being used to fund a genocide through arming M23 rebels and Rwandan rebels in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, our tax dollars being used to fund a genocide in Palestine. But instead of fixing at least one of these many issues, they decided to come together, have Nancy Pelosi's geriatric ass say this.
This is not an attempt to ban TikTok. It's an attempt to make TikTok better. Tic-tac-toe. A winner. A winner.
And are forcing TikTok to be owned by an American company. Because guys, they care about our data. But this is hilarious coming from US politicians of all people, when the US never cared about so-called citizens' data when it came to CONINTELPRO and the Patriot Act that directly stole information, addresses, and data from Black and Arab communities. Also, if they really cared about citizens' data, then my nigga, Facebook will be gone within the hour. Instagram would crumble within seconds, and Twitter would literally cease to exist in the US. And let's keep it real, because if a foreign government did this exact thing to Ford, Facebook, or Tesla, America would A, put an embargo on that country, B, stage a coup in that country, C, bomb the shit out of them, or D, all of the above. So with any of the pressing issues I mentioned, if they wanted to fix them, they would. But that's the thing, these politicians are playing in our faces and are acting like this isn't the case. They're doing this thing that many people from the 18 through 35-year-old age range call gaslighting. You know, that thing your boyfriend did to you. When you told him to take out the trash, he said that he told you to do it 2 days ago, you said that you never said that, then you got into a big argument over it and stopped talking for 2 weeks until he apologized and finally took out the trash. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm the person that women come to when they want to vent about their shitty boyfriends. I could write a book with the amount of stories that have been told to me over a FaceTime call. But seriously, I just gave a short and simple example of how politicians gaslight their citizens into thinking that they care about them, even though what they really care about is supporting imperialism for US interest. And if you think I'm just some woke, black militant, postmodern neo-Marxist that's just mad at the world, then that's fine with me. I mean, you don't gotta believe me. But you know, all I'm saying is that there's a reason why there's multiple potholes the size of craters across your city that they refuse to fill up and would rather put a metal grate on top of. Because the money that you put in doesn't come back to help you out that much. Like, it's either going towards an arms delivery to rebels to destabilize Haiti even further, a crime bill that surprisingly only seems to affect Black and brown communities, or it's going towards a cop city that'll be built in the middle of a county where the Black population is shockingly over 70% large. So gaslighting is a tool that can be used for multiple things. It can be used for comedy, lying, manipulation, treachery, deceit, and yes, even white supremacy. But wait, before you hit the dislike button and comment that YouTube recommended you this video because of a secret DEI brainwashing program, just hear me out, because I'm gonna explain how gaslighting can be used as the buff item in a JRPG game for white supremacy and everything else that falls under that through Malcolm X's knife allegory. So let's go over the quote as a refresher.
If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, that's not progress. If you pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress comes from healing the wound that the blow made. They haven't begun to pull the knife out. They won't even admit the knife is there.
Now what Malcolm is talking about is the so-called progress that African Americans have gotten, even though there's this ever-present knife that's stuck in the backs of our people. This knife being racism, macro and microaggressions, the prison industrial complex, the militarization of the police, the military industrial complex, dog whistles, and just overall anti-blackness. The knife takes on many forms and many shapes as anti-black tactics change and take on many forms and many shapes. The whole Southern strategy is a great example of this, where Republicans realized that being outright racist was becoming unpopular, so they switched to coded language and racist dog whistles instead.
You start out in 1954 by saying, by 1968 you can't say that hurts your backfire, so you say stuff like forced busing, states' rights and all that stuff. And you're getting so abstract now, you're talking about cutting taxes and all of these things you're talking about are totally economic things, and the byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites.
It's funny how Trump used this tactic during his 2016 presidential campaign, and Hillary Clinton used it when she called black kids super predators during the 90s. Makes you think that both Democrats and Republicans be on fuck shit, and the two-party system wasn't a good idea from the jump, but I digress. So when people and politicians say that we don't live in a racist country, America has never been racist, or make America great again, they are purposely failing to acknowledge the knife and would rather act like it's not there at all. When Nikki Haley in particular said her "we don't live in a racist country" statement where she's acting like white supremacy isn't a real issue, it's genuinely hilarious because everything about her contradicts this. Like, she's an Indian American that has completely whitewashed herself to appeal to the GOP and their voter base, and I'm not joking, like, she has quite literally listed her race as white on her voter registration card, even though her full name is this. And not only that, but she was born in Bamberg, South Carolina, which is not far from Orangeburg, South Carolina, where the Orangeburg massacre occurred during the Civil Rights Movement, where highway patrolmen shot at 200 black student protesters from SC State of South Carolina State University, wounded 28 students, and killed 3 of them, all because these students were protesting the whites-only policy at an all-star bowling lane spot. The reason why you probably never heard about this is because the Vietnam War coverage overshadowed this massacre, and the media lied about what had happened at the time. So going off this example, we can see that racist massacres happened not too far from where she was born and raised at. And it's funny, because I can take this even further, because Nikki Haley's father taught at Voorhees College, now called Voorhees University, and fun fact, I went to school there for 2 years and started this whole channel and made the first video essays for this channel at that HBCU. Now, if you don't know, Voorhees University is an HBCU in Denmark, South Carolina that was founded by Elizabeth Evelyn Wright in 1897, and she was the first African American woman to found an HBCU. However, she actually tried to start the school in 10 other locations, but was routinely ran out by threats and arson attacks made by KKK hate mobs in South Carolina. By the way, this is a universal thing among HBCUs, and if you've ever wondered why HBCUs are so secluded in the woods, the hood, or in bumfuck nowhere areas, it's because the black people that made these schools were routinely ran out by KKK hate mobs when they tried to found these schools in more open areas. And Voorhees University, with all of this important history, is the school that Nikki's father taught at. But the reason why she gaslights us into thinking that none of this happened is because she wants to adhere to white supremacy to get more votes, and she wants to be seen as one of the good ones in the GOP. It's the model minority myth at its most extreme, and all of what I'm saying about her sounds like the plot of a black satire show, I know, but unfortunately, this is the unserious reality that we live in. filled with unserious people like Nikki Haley. And when we look at the pyramid of white supremacy, this purposeful failure to not recognize the knife occurs because they want to create indifference among the general public, which leads to minimization, veiled racism, discrimination, calls for violence, actual violence, and at the top, genocide. Because they want to make it seem like African Americans are yapping about nothing when we talk about systemic racism and how that has historically and is currently affecting us, because they want white supremacy to become normalized, and they use gaslighting as a tool to accomplish this goal. And to them, the white people and other ethnic groups that do accept us and also point out these racist systems are virtue signaling terrorist sympathizers who have been bullied into this tolerance by woke left DEI black militants.
We merely hoped some humans had evolved beyond the past.
Did you honestly think we'd roll over and let mutants take over the planet? That we wouldn't fight back?
Yet your cruelty has only made humanity more sympathetic to our cause.
Oh, did it? No, you're in vogue, Storm. A fad. Look at my mutant friend. But under all that fashionable sympathy, normal people know the more room we make for your kind, the less we leave for ours. So we might wear tolerance on our sleeves, but we know the naked truth. Tolerance is extinction.
And these tactics are not only used with us, but they're also used against indigenous people, Hispanics, Haitians, Congolese people, Palestinians, etc. Because when you look at this internationally, this gaslighting used as a tool for oppression method and failing to recognize the knife happened in South Africa during apartheid. It happens with the Indonesian government and Indonesian forces and how they've been committing a genocide against the West Papua people for over 60 years. It continues to happen through Zionism in Palestine, where Israeli occupational forces are committing a genocide against the Palestinian people, and Palestinians in the West Bank continue to be pushed out of their homes, harassed, shot in the streets, and live in Jim Crow / apartheid conditions. And being the woke black militant postmodern neo-Marxist that I am, I have to repeat that Zionism isn't Judaism. These are two separate things. And please don't be anti-Semitic in the comments when I talk about this, okay? Cool. But going back to what I said before, there are so many examples that I can pick from when I talk about this, but what happens when the knife gets pulled out 6 inches? If the knife that's stuck in the back of African Americans is 9 inches deep, then pulling it out 6 inches means that America is recognizing white supremacy as an issue and wants to move forward with its racist past, right? Wrong. Extremely wrong. But why are you wrong? And why are you a fucking idiot for asking this question? Well, to answer these questions, we must collect ourselves. Get a 10-piece mile wing combo meal with a peach drink from American Deli, move on, and talk about part 2. Okay, fine. We're gonna pull out the knife 6 inches. And you better stop complaining after this, because we're going to give you LeBron, Beyonce, Cardi B, Oprah, and yeah, sure, we're going to still systematically fuck you over, but we're just going to call you anti-white if you try to call this out, you know. Okay, so following Malcolm X's knife allegory, what happens when the knife is recognized and pulled out 6 inches after being stuck in the backs of African Americans 9 inches deep? Now for this, we're going to do some fourth wall break audience interaction shit here. And my camera might be inverted, so my left is your left, my right is your right. Just follow the damn instructions, okay? Look to your left, okay? Look to your right. Look up. You're looking up. Okay, now look down. Looking down. Now look at me. Because that question is the reality that we are currently living in right now as I'm speaking to you through your cracked iPhone screen that you need to fix, but refuse to do so. Nah, but seriously, the state of affairs that we're in right now aren't the best, and the progress that's been made has been seen through the sphere of the law, of course. But because individual change, rather than systemic change, has occurred, these racist systems and industrial complexes have morphed into other systems and newer things over time. Because now we live in an age of neocolonialism, neo-fascism, and among other things, this liberal version of black excellence where black people get to sell out and be put in high positions of power to become CEOs of divisions of defense contractor companies or sign these horrendous crime bills and cop cities into law. Now all we're missing are neo-hoteps that support black gay people, but discriminate against white gay people. But something else that has come out of this age of us pushing for our right to live and continuously critiquing these white supremacist systems is this reverse racism rhetoric. Like, I don't want to say it's something that just became a thing because it's always been there, but it seems to be more apparent than ever nowadays. Because when we talk about how Black Lives Matter because of the police brutality that Black cis men, Black cis women, Black queers, and Black trans people experience at the hands of the police, it's always followed with All Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter, whatever the fuck that means. When we criticize white supremacy, how it functions, and how white people and other ethnic groups who weren't considered as originally white benefit from it in any way, shape, or form, we're accused of being anti-white. And videos like this start popping up and get millions of views. By the way, this is a sidebar, but I gotta give Charlie his props for making this because it was the funniest video that came out last year. Like, that shit had me dying on the floor when I watched it for the first time. Like, this shit truly feels like it will be in the plot of a Boondocks episode where Huey called one of his white neighbors a cracker, the neighbors recorded it, the post went viral, and this video got made as a result of that. Please view it through the lens of a season 3 Boondocks episode, and I swear to God, this shit will have you laughing till you can't breathe. But back to what I was saying, it's just hilarious to witness these folks claim reverse racism rhetoric because we're critiquing these fucked up systems while they get to act like they aren't proud of these fucked up systems in the first place. And I can bring up so many examples from the whole idea of white folks claiming that the Confederacy is part of their heritage. I can go deeper into Stone Mountain, Mount Rushmore, shit, nigga, any monument or road named after a slave owner. I could spend like a good 20 to 30 minutes on any one of these things, right? But I don't have to, and I don't need to, because with them, there will always be one more thing. There will always be one more way to undermine us, one more way to shift the convo, one more way to disrupt true equality. Because like I said before, they're recognizing the knife and have now put it out 6 inches. And because we're still complaining that the knife isn't out yet and the wound isn't healed completely, they have to make it seem like we're out of our minds for pointing it out, and that the real problem is us and not them.
Know what I hate about your kind? You act like you got it so bad. Normal people have it hard too. Harder! We just have the dignity not to whine about it. You see? It's the whining. I hate your whining just as much as I hate you.
It's like the you don't like capitalism yet you exist. iPhone, Venezuela, bottom text, 100 billion dead meme, except replace capitalism with America and replace iPhone and Venezuela with LeBron and Chicago. And actually, we can look at the full Toni Morrison quote that I used to make this point, because I feel like it's also another way that white supremacy and racism functions.
The function, the very real function of racism is distraction. It keeps you from doing your work. It keeps you explaining over and over again your reason for being. Someone says you have no language and you spend 20 years proving that you do. Someone says your head isn't shaped properly, so you have scientists working on the fact that it is. Someone says you have no art, so you dredge that up. Somebody says you have no kingdoms, so you dredge that up. None of this is necessary. There will always be one more thing.
And this is actually so real, because a great example is when you see white people claiming that locks and braids are part of their Viking heritage culture, even though the Vikings were never a heritage or ethnicity and was more like an occupation and a job title. And whenever white people do get locks or box braids, they end up looking like the Cynthia doll from Rugrats because these hairstylists aren't made for their hair types. So along with gaslighting, we can see that distraction is also used to keep white supremacy and racism alive, because there will always be one more thing. But now it seems like we're at an impasse. Because if we're recognizing the knife that makes up these fucked up systems that we aren't going for, then what should we do? If the knife has been recognized, now it's being pulled out 6 inches after being stuck 9 inches deep, then what's the next solution? I mean, like, what needs to happen next and moving forward? Well, my friend, the answer to these questions might surprise you, make your jaw drop and leave you utterly flabbergasted and in awe. But we'll get to it right after this short break.
Now go ahead and send me money, yeah! Money, cash.
Bro, they need to put cocaine back in fucking Coca-Cola cans. And hear me out. So the answer to the questions in the previous part of this video is to pull out the knife and heal the wound completely. You want to do what? That's right, and that's quite literally the simplest answer to these questions. Because people go back and forth on what needs to happen, but this is the true end goal. Just remove the fucking knife and heal the wound. Don't not recognize the knife. Don't only pull it out 6 inches after making it be stuck 9 inches deep. And don't just pull it out all the way. Heal the wound completely through political education in schools and to the general public about our culture and our history outside of the figures that y'all don't whitewash to hell and back. Blow up that fucking carving on Stone Mountain and replace it with a carving of Outkast, John Lewis, or shit nigga, maybe both. Actually make a genuine effort to move forward instead of bullshitting us and suppressing us with these book bans, white supremacist monuments, anti-LGBTQ bills, and cop cities. And tear down these various industrial complexes and genuinely push for a better world for everyone. Because instead of being content with individual actions, we must push for real systemic change. Shout out to Angela Davis, Freedom is a Constant Struggle, page 32. And in return, we'll ship the black people that also try to engage in this behavior and policies to Antarctica. I heard that the flowers are blooming there, so it should be a good spot for them. And hopefully, if we put them there, the situation doesn't turn into Lord of the Flies, but knowing them, it eventually will. Because, you know, I always try to follow that what happens after day 1 of the revolution model when I make the conclusions to these videos. And this is my genuine answer of how to exterminate the relationship between gaslighting, white supremacy, and just white supremacy in itself. And I know, trust me, I know that the government doesn't want this to happen, they don't want to do this, and it's gonna take a mass movement or multiple mass movements to actually stop this, but you know, it's either we heal the wound or we start a fucking race war. But if the latter does happen, just know I'm keeping Tony Hawk, Alex Lennon, and Paramore in my basement. The rest of y'all gonna have to fend for yourselves when the black population in Mississippi finally decides to attack. I'm just, listen, I'm just saying. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. I've said all that I needed to say here, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for supporting the channel. Go watch the other videos on my channel. Go sub to my Patreon if you got the money and if you're able to, type shit. But to the people who are worried about, you know, the fact that I gave my family's history away, and I gave like a specific like area within Georgia where I live at, let me just tell you that if you do try to dox me or like, I don't know, like try to show it to my house or some shit, we have this thing in Georgia called, you know, stand your ground laws, and we have a double barrel downstairs that we will use to stand our ground. You feel me? Like, you walk around with a point to prove, but don't get popped. You walk around with a point to prove, but don't get shot, cause you will get shot. I'm telling you this right now. So don't fucking try it, bro. Please don't. Listen. You feel me? But yeah, y'all have a good day. I'll see y'all in the next one, and peace. You feel me? Like, what these niggas talking about? You won't get popped.